Welcome to the Sam and Ray podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Ray.
And how have you been, Ray, since the last time we spoke when we did the podcast?
I've been good.
You good?
Considering it's like we haven't seen each other, but we have.
Yeah, we have in passing. We haven't spoke.
It's like, all right, bye.
Sorry, see you later. Dinner will be on the stove. Don't wake me up.
Dinner. That chicken pasta stuff you made was good.
Oh my God, I'm not a good cook. I suck at cooking. And I hate thinking of what to cook every day because not everybody likes the same thing.
If people looked at me, they wouldn't assume that you didn't cook good. I think they'd be like, oh, he eats good. I don't complain about what you make.
Oh my God. I have to tell the kids, like, I'm not a short order cook. Okay. You get what you get and that's it. Or eat air. I'm just kidding. I don't make them eat air. Don't call CPS. I feed them. Okay.
Air and a couple sides of go to bed if you don't want it.
Go to bed hungry then. I'm always thinking like, man, when I grew up and my dad would make dinner, we never had another option. It was either you eat or you don't. I could give two shits.
We didn't have an option. It was the same thing. We didn't have the option.
And he literally, if we would ask, you knew to never ask what was for dinner because he would be like, air. Or he'd be like,
something snarky.
Something rude.
Like, know your place.
Yeah, like, shut up. I'm the parent. If you're not having to cook it, just shut up and sit there and be happy that I made anything.
Man, good times.
Good times being a kid.
We're the same way, but we honestly didn't even have options. So it's like we didn't even dare to ask, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like we had options, but we really didn't have options. It was like we already knew.
Remember that one time we cleared out the entire freezer and it was just like, let's just eat whatever's there. This is before kids though. We cleared out the entire freezer because we're like, do we really want to spend money or should we just eat what we have here? And we literally ate what we had here.
The good old college days.
Were
we in between classes?
I think so.
So we were in between classes and we just like, man, we're hungry.
Yeah.
But so we were broke. We didn't really have money like that because we were making Mervin's money, man. Fuck Mervin's.
Fuck Mervin's.
And
actually, I miss Mervin's. I miss the people I worked with. I don't miss working there.
I didn't say fuck the people. I said fuck Mervin's.
That's true. Fuck Mervin's. You guys got screwed over, closed on us, and had to find another place to work. But I feel like there's a reason why everything happens. Like, I feel like I get so comfortable places that God's like, you know what? We're going to shut this place down because otherwise Samantha won't leave.
You're going to be there
Let's
forever.
Make her go because she needs to keep going. She needs to move on with her life. Yes.
Yeah, complacency sucks. You get so comfortable.
Yeah.
But that food was good. Freezer burnt
Tostitos, freezer burnt nuggets, and freezer burnt pizza. Great.
Well, not Tostitos. What were they? Those pepperoni things.
They were the pizzas, but we had frozen.
What were they called? The
frozen
Tostitos or
taquitos.
Tostitos are the chips, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. But I don't know. I just remember we sat here, we warmed everything up, and then by the time we got to eating it, we were like, tastes like old ass ice.
But we ate it because if you're hungry, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, that was good times.
Yeah,
but yeah, back to fuck Mervin's.
Fuck Mervin's, man.
Merv days, man. Those days were funny.
Oh man, I remember being there, and how old was I? I was like 18. Yeah, I was 18 when I started, and I appreciated the job because I needed money. It was my first job. Actually, Subway was my first job.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
Subway. I lasted 2 days.
That Subway experience gets me every time.
I lasted 2 days. They were so mean to me. I had barely started driving. So I wasn't a good driver. I was, but I wasn't. And I was new to it. So I wasn't going to drive far. And the place that I had applied was literally, 5 minutes from the house.
Oh, yeah.
And
around the corner.
They were like, okay, cool. So I applied at that one. But they were trying to get me to drive from... So I lived in Fontana, and I was on Sierra and... What? Sierra and...
You were on Sierra.
I was on Sierra. Fuck it. I was on Sierra. And literally 5 minutes from my house was the Subway. When I get there the first day, they were like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. I was like, it's my first day. Like, I'm supposed to be. They're like, no, you're supposed to be the one on Cherry. I was like, I can't drive all the way to Cherry. You kidding right now?
Which really, in actuality, is not that far. Was it like Cherry by like the high school?
Yeah.
That wasn't far.
For me, as a new driver, it was. And it scared me. So I had to call my dad to come pick me up and to drive me. And when they were... they were like, here, these are how you make all the sandwiches. And behind the counter are all these little menus of what each sandwich has in it, right? And I'm just like, this is so fucking confusing. Cause I was like, where's the fucking this sandwich or where's that one? So I'm like looking at the counter everywhere. Like, where the fuck do I go? Like, where is it? And so then I think the guy who was training me got annoyed and he was like, go take over the cash register then. And I was like, okay, well, how do you do it? Because obviously he just threw me on. And he was like, each picture is of a sandwich. And I was like, okay, cool. I go, literally same picture. Like just, it was like a little,
just like, a different meat,
and I was like, "What the fuck?" Just a different picture, but it wasn't even like the actual picture of the sandwich.
Oh, it was like a little, black and white photocopy,
like a little piece of shit. Like
no label. It didn't say
it was, but it barely anything. You could barely see it, and I was like, "This has got to be a joke." And then I made someone's sandwich upside down and they bitched about it. My sandwich is upside down. And I'm looking at them like, bitch, it's going to taste the same. Okay. Whether it's upside down or not. Like, I don't understand. And then I forgot to cut someone's sandwich. And I was like, go home. Go home and cut it. Why do you have to sit here to eat it?
You know, remember the last time we went to Subway without the kids, they didn't cut our sandwiches, remember?
And then we came home and we cut it.
Yeah, we fucked it up.
What a fucking big deal. And if not, then hold it like a big one like you see on fucking cartoons and eat it like that. Who cares?
Kind of weird.
I don't give two shits. And then the second day, I was like, no, I'm not going to Cherry. I applied here. I'm not leaving. And they were like, oh, the new girl doesn't want to go. Can somebody go for her? And I was like, yeah, damn straight, the new girl don't want to go.
So did the same person that owned the one on Sierra own the one on Cherry?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it didn't even matter to them. They were just tossing people wherever they wanted. Yeah, they were just tossing
people. And then someone pushed me into the register. I ended up with a bruise. My glove got stuck to the soup because you had to wear gloves. And then, you know, the soup that they have, someone wanted soup. So I was getting it and my glove got stuck to it. Like it literally like melted. I came home. And my dad was like, hi, Mia, how was work? And I was like, it was great. It was great. I'm going to go get in the shower because I smelled like pickles, onion, bread, and I got in the shower and I sobbed and I cried. I didn't think anybody could hear me because I thought my sob was like at least, you know, quiet. I get up to go to school the next day and my dad was like, Mija, if you don't want to work there, you can quit. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I promise I'll find another job. And so that's where Mervin's came.
So he ended up at Mervin's. Do you recall like when you walked in there, you're like, I could work here? Or was it just like you just wanted to get Mervin's? The fuck out of the Subway? Yeah.
Well, I only got into Mervin's because of somebody who had already worked there. She was a manager. So she got me in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say her name, but yeah.
Because for people that don't know, obviously, I started at Mervin's like right after high school. So then I'm 2 years older than you, obviously. So that was 2004. So I ended up going because the actual manager of the store, I used to play basketball with him and the other homie, and it was cool. And he like, oh, you need a job? Come work. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I remember graduating, and then like that Saturday after, I had to go to work. And I was like, oh, they're like, man. Oh, everybody was planning to go to like this kickback for everybody, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll see you guys after. I gotta go to work, and it was my first day too, so I was just like, and then I forgot what department I was in, but it was cool because my brother actually worked there at that time, so it was me, my brother, a couple of the homies that we used to play basketball with. So it's not like I went into a job not knowing anybody. Yeah. Like I knew pretty much almost the whole staff. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up leaving to find a full-time job. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to school. Really didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. Yeah. So I ended up back at Mervin's, and that's when I met you.
Best thing that's ever happened to him. You're welcome.
But yeah, it was funny though because I came in and automatically like I was put in charge of the entire truck team.
He was my boss,
and everybody. I remember you said, she's like, I'm gonna get ahead.
Oh my God! Can I get some better hours?
Yeah, you did.
Oh my God! Shut up! No applause for that. No, that's not even.
But not so. That was that. But yeah, man, Mervin. So the stories that you have, I have like other stories that kind of like layer on top of that, because there's like a background to everybody that you didn't know about before that. So it's just true. Like, I remember when you guys, like you and the girls would tell stories about Mervin's, I'm like, well, you know why that happened, right?
Like, no, why?
Like
tell us.
There's a backstory to it. And you're like, oh, that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
You know what? And that's bringing me up to something else, because this man, let me tell you, if you guys don't already know, we could go somewhere where we don't even live and whatever, and he will know people. It's like, how, when we're like 5 hours out of where we live, how do you know people out here? But that, you saying that reminds me that you knew someone who knew my manager at my old retail store, and you knew stuff about him that you will not tell me.
Oh yeah, I did. I went to a barber school with them.
Yes, and I still am trying to get out of you what he said about this person. I want to know. And now that I don't work there, can I know?
No. You know why though? I'll be honest with you. I it's like really vague now. I don't remember.
Okay, well, just like little snippets of whatever you remember.
I just know they used to fuck around. That was it. Other than that, I don't know like too much. I don't remember too much details. You got to remember that was like almost 10 years ago.
And this is the thing though. I'm your wife. You need to tell me everything you find out about people I know.
I don't think you want to know everything.
I do.
Just know that when I don't tell you, it's for your good.
Why? Oh, because I'll go talk shit or something?
You'll either talk shit, or two, you'll just be like,
you're disgusting.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? Some things are just better not say. Yeah. We're good. Let's just keep it moving on this one.
Oh, that really hurts my feelings, because I love the gossip. I love the chisme.
But the funny thing is though, that the dude you worked with, he was a douche.
He's a douche.
So from the stories that I could remember, I could remember that he was a douche. Like that was just his
mentality.
Like, his mentality. He was always a douche. Because the dude that I went to barber school with, he was cool as shit. And a lot of the dudes would like trip on him, because obviously for whatever reason. But to me, I was just like, oh, he's a cool ass dude, right? But like the stories he would tell, I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. Like, this is why this guy hates this and that, and it's just like, okay. But other than that, I don't like. There was other specifics that I don't. If I were to just spew them out right now, none of it would make any fucking sense. So like.
Yeah, but that guy's a douche.
Yeah,
I'm the only one who applauded when
he left.
Okay, so we had morning meetings.
I couldn't hear. And in your head it sounded like this.
Yeah.
He is they no were longer like,
with we
us.
Always had these morning meetings, and he was there with our store manager and another assistant manager, and then of course just regular piece of shit staff like me. So we're all standing there. Nobody could really stand this guy except for himself and then the other managers who kissed his ass. And they were like, it's sad for us to say, but one of us is leaving. And I'm looking around like, I know you assholes ain't leaving me, because all my friends worked with me, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you motherfucker, who didn't tell me? And they were like, Robert. And I was like, what? And I literally said, what? And I was like, yeah. And I started clapping. And then everybody looked at me. I was like, oh, are we not doing? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Continue.
I mean, I'm
just so proud of him. Yeah,
I applaud his decision to have a better life. Like either way you go, you're insulting the company or the person.
I'm like, fuck yeah, we're rid of him. Now, when are you two leaving?
It's funny you said you weren't going to say names.
Oh, I said his name. Oh, well, fuck you, Robert.
Well, you don't even know him like that. Don't even matter.
Fuck you.
And you're not even there. We had this conversation with our children yesterday.
That's true.
Yeah. So now you know where our children get it from.
I can't help it. It's just like a big...
You can help it. Just don't say
big
it.
Big middle finger to you. But I'm just really glad I got out of there. And I had a lot of just hate toward my managers at the end. And I'm gonna bring it to what you brought up about what you...
About it's never too late.
Never too late. Mm-hmm. My manager, who I was an idiot to, or not to, but just...
You were an idiot?
I was an idiot because of the fact that I was just so loyal to this company that could give 2 fucks about you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I was like always trying my best and always whatever. And she would just shit all over me. It was like an abusive relationship. She would shit all over me. I would get mad at her. We'd make amends and it would just happen all over again. And she was one of the people who would tell me like, oh yeah, you'll never leave. You'll never leave. Yeah, right. You're never going to leave. And I believed her. And even though I was going to school and doing whatever I had to do to get out of there, I always had this thing of like, oh my God, maybe she's right. Maybe I'll never leave because I'm already at this age and I'll always be stuck in this position. But then I realized when I did, like at the end, when I was about to leave, I was like, you know what? That was her insecurities she was trying to shove on me. And I want to tell everybody out there right now, I want to get this out there, that if you are in a position, whether it's at work or in like just life where you feel like you're not going to get out of it, you will. You just have to keep pushing. And every day might feel like a struggle and you might want to just like give up, but you can't. Whether it's to prove it to yourself or to prove it someone else, to prove it to someone else, you can do it. But
mainly you got to prove it to yourself.
Yeah. And but I think I did a little bit of both, like, fuck you, I'm going to prove you wrong. And then to me too, like, fuck you, Samantha, we could do this. Let's go. Keep moving.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes, so we've had that discussion before where I've told you, like, we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors in their situation, mm-hmm. right? And even though they treat us like shit, they do it because they don't know what we got going on in our daily life behind closed doors, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, if we keep doing that cycle, we go back and forth of treating people like shit. That's why I believe the society is in the form that it's in right now, because it's always some type of retaliation over the most pettiest thing, right? Yeah. But it's like, I don't know what she was going through, but it fucking sucks that people feel the need that just because they're going through something that they have to shit on other people. Because then, again, you still don't know what that other person is going through, right? So then it's just like, it's an endless battle of just trying to shit on fucking people. Yeah. And, I mean, I'm not trying to get dark, but to what extent does it stop before something personal happens and then people start regretting what they say or what they do to people, you know? Like, it's just like we had mentioned Alan's DJ in the last episode, where it's just like, you don't fucking know what people are going through, but you still have the audacity to shit on people. And if you know your life fucking sucks, why do you want someone else's life to suck? That just shows how much of a shitty person you are, that you can't accept whatever fault you have going on in your life, mm-hmm. and you have to carry it on to someone else. But I applaud you, because throughout that entire time, you were going to school.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucked, though, now I was always like get frustrated with you, was like, man, she's going to school and she's learning all these laws, but she's not applying any of these mm-hmm. things that she knows towards her current work environment, which could honestly, and it may change, it may not change, but at the end of the day, you could have said something in that moment and you never did.
And you know what's funny though is that I actually did. Anytime I got reprimanded, which was a lot at the end, I would get pulled into the office and I would make my manager feel stupid. And I would be like, oh, really? I was like, because the law is blah, 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 blah. I was like, and within an organization, you should be doing A, B, and C. And I don't see you doing that. I was like, I see you preaching it, but you don't practice what you preach, blah, blah, blah. And I would go off and she'd just be like, okay, well, for future reference. And I'm like, you feel stupid. Mic drop. But and I would leave.
The crazy
but nothing changed because nobody cared over there. So
the crazy part, there shouldn't be future reference. Like we just came up with the solution and you just
shit all over it. You don't care. Yeah. But it's in the end, I got out, which I'm so happy. All of us did. Yeah. Shout out to Becca. Shout out to Lydia, Alexa, Anna, that's my mija. I used to call her my mija. She was my baby. And speaking of like, it's never too late, we used to talk a lot, and her and I would go through like the same situations of like, oh my God, like what am I going to do with school? And I hope you don't mind me bringing you up, Anna. Oh my God. And I remember we got onto this conversation about And even with my little sister, Millie, I've talked to her about this too, about situations passing you by. Do you ever think you'll get another chance? And I think, yeah, you do. I personally, I believe in God. And if you don't, that's fine. You can believe in the universe, whatever. But I feel like we always like, oh my God, should I have taken that position? Should I have done this when I had the chance? And I don't think you only get one chance. I always think that a train, let's say it's a train, the train passes you, but it doesn't mean it's not going to come back at a different time in your life. And it could be a different situation. It's not going to always be the same option that came before. And I feel like it could either be a train or a bus or hot air balloon. Something's going to come. And just because you didn't take it the first time doesn't mean that you can't take it another time. But you know what I mean?
But you got to be aware of that. You can't say, oh, like I missed my opportunity, because there are missed opportunities, but you also have to learn from those missed opportunities in order to be like, all right, the next time this happens, I'm going to catch it. I'm not going to fumble it. I'm going to be cool. And we're just going to ride it out.
And you never know. Maybe at that time that it did come, maybe you weren't 100% ready.
But so I know a couple of times where you felt
with me
that it was just like, this is never going to happen, or I'm never going to finish. And I always will tell you, like, it doesn't matter. Even if it did happen, at the end of the day, you have to be happy with yourself. You have to be comfortable with where you're at, because if you're not, what was the point of doing all of it? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I remember we would have conversations and you would always say, well, what if I'm doing all this to go to school, and I don't even, once I graduate, I don't even do what I went to school for. And I would always tell you, like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're going through and you're learning the process of something that perhaps maybe you can use towards whatever career you have after, whether it is in that field or it's in a different field. Every position that we have in life, you have to take your past experiences and put them towards what your current situation is, if it applies. And you can't just be like, oh, I'm never going to learn something, or I'm never going to do this and that. My thought process was always just do whatever makes you happy. In today's society, everybody chases the bag, right? That's everybody wants to make money. And I used to always tell you the same thing, like, hey, it doesn't matter what other people think. Mm-hmm. I think one of the most rudest questions that a person could ask another person when it comes to their choice of career path, does it make good money? Like,
does it matter?
Yeah, does it fucking matter? You don't pay my bills, so I don't even know why that's even relevant, you know? Mm-hmm. To me, when people ask me, like, well, what do you think of this? Like, well, how do you feel about it? Which way do you go with it? Would you rather chase the bag or chase happiness? Because I know a lot of people that have a lot of fucking money and they never have enough of it, and they're never fucking happy. Like, I would rather not have enough of being happy than not have enough money. Because if you don't have enough of being happy, you could always, like, it's a good feeling to always be happy.
Yeah, that's true.
But to have the feeling of, oh, I don't have enough money, and you keep chasing that, like, you're never gonna fucking be happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, you find a career path you want to go in and you fucking just go with it, whether it is what you went to school for or not.
And do you think that the needing to have more, like, materialistically and financially, do you think that has a lot to do with what we see on, like, social media? Because we're so open to seeing what everybody else is doing and what. To be honest,
I think that comes even before social media. I think even, like,
it's just how you're raised.
Yeah. I think if you feel like you're the type of person that needs validity, did I say that right? Validity. If you need validation, if you need validation based off of a look as opposed to what you are, like who you are as a person, then that's just you.
Because if you take everything away from that person that you think has everything, who the fuck are they?
Exactly. Yeah. I think social media has, like,
upped it, heightened it.
Yeah, it's heightened that feeling for people, where it's just like, oh, if I look like I'm doing this and I do that. Because the thing is, we all, and even in today's, like, speaking of today, right, we know from the past of how social media has always been, that no one ever puts out their negative shit. Now there are some people
Oh God, we're gonna get into this.
There are some people that rant and rave their negative shit. I remember that's why I used to I got off Facebook, because Facebook, like, once I would see like posts start with, I think it's funny when, or you know what I mean, I started seeing shit like that. I'm like, I just keep on scrolling, because I don't want to hear that shit. I didn't come on here to see you fucking complain all day. Now, I'm not saying you can't complain, but if all you do is fucking complain, there's a reason for that, right? And then, so there's like that extreme of just always being negative. But now we've taken it to the extreme of, I'm only going to show you how good I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But even at that, like at the end of the day, even financially, right? I could show you how good I'm doing. But if somebody was to actually like look at your paperwork,
mm-hmm.
how much of it is actually yours? Because most of what people have today is owned by the bank.
Yikes.
If you have a credit card,
which I have many,
you don't own half the shit that you have.
These chonies ain't even mine yet, because I haven't paid off my card.
You better hold on to them.
I'm paying on to these chonies.
I don't want someone coming knocking on the door trying to get your
like,
chonies.
Those Hanes, those are ours. Okay, you need to give them back.
Only I get to take off your chonies. But you get what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So it's just like, so to answer your question, I think social media has heightened it, but I think our past and how we live, because I think it's situational. Different people have different outlooks on life. There's some people that think that as long as I look good, then people will think I'm doing good.
Yeah, like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, like you don't have to have all the newest shit.
See, and when I used to go on social media, I would compare myself, but it wasn't to money or like things like that. It was more of like, oh man, look at, she graduated already. When am I going to get there? Or when? And I got to a point where, because like I said in the last episode, I've dealt with anxiety and depression, and I think that just heightened it, where I always just felt bad about myself, because I was like, look at, they finished fast and blah, blah, blah. And I'm already older and all this stuff, but everybody has a different situation. Yeah, did I say true. Situation weird? Situation.
That's right.
And
we both had too much coffee this morning.
And it's just, you can't compare yourself. You can't. You can only, like, I remember looking at someone on my social media or whatever and thinking like, well, how come this and how come that? And I swear it was God. And he was like, don't worry what I'm doing for them. Worry about yourself. Don't be looking at what everybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing.
You know, one thing.
That's it.
So, you know, like the kids love listening to Big Boy in the morning. And the reason why I let them, because sometimes the conversations aren't appropriate, so I'll switch it. But a lot of times, I remember like growing up, I used to listen to Big Boy, and he always kind of had like words of wisdom, and he would sprinkle that throughout his show. And one thing he would always say, and even like recently, he tells people like, we always look at other people and what they have, and we want what they have, but we don't necessarily want all the shit that came with it before they got what they have. You know what I mean? So it's just like every time you looked at someone and like, oh, this person graduated before me, or this person got that position at the job, or this person's doing this and that, you're looking at that. You're not really looking at all the shit that they went through. Yeah. Just as someone looking at you is like, oh man, she has this job and it must be easy, must be nice. Like that's, so along with the, do you like, how much money do you make? Does it make good money? Like a follow-up rude question, and don't ever fucking ask someone this, is, excuse me, is that you don't, man, I had a brain fart right now. But don't.
It happens.
It happens. But like, you can't ever ask somebody like, oh damn, I really do have a brain fart.
We'll come back to that. But if you remember, just stop me and then you could say it. But I'm going to say, like, when we had Josh, we had nothing.
Oh, yeah, we had
nothing. So if you take a look at, sorry, I keep moving from my microphone. If you take a look at, like, Ray's, you know, Instagram or whatever, and he's out here doing this.
Which by the way, you will never see that because I'm not actually that type of person.
Yeah. But, I mean, you see him, like, DJing Dodger Stadium or, you know, doing photos at Dodger Stadium or just going out and doing these things. People would be like, oh, like, you know, let's just say people are envious, but you have no idea how long it took for us to get there. You have no idea.
So now that you said that, I remember my follow-up.
But hold on. Okay. But wait, let me finish. Ahead. Because when we had Josh, I was pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant. We both lost our jobs. I knew I was going to lose my job. They had already told us the store was closing. Ray was a manager at a store. And the next day, like the day after or the day before I was going to get laid off, so he got laid off.
It was actually the same week.
Same week, yeah.
We already knew that your store was going to close on this Friday. And we pretty much we saved accordingly, right? Because you came home and you're just like, oh, like they're going to close the store and this and that. I was just like, all right, cool. Well, I still have my job. And again, I've been DJing since like 2004, 2005. So I would get gigs where I would DJ parties here and there. So that was always extra income that we could always put forth saving, right? Mm-hmm. But it was actually that Monday. So like I remember getting a phone call from one of the other supervisors and he was like, bro, they just laid me off. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, they just laid me off. I was like, for what? What'd you do? Because it was him and I, and we had that shit like tight. We was running cool. So we didn't understand like, why the fuck are they laying people off? Like, and he goes, I don't know, bro. He goes, I'm not trying to like scare you, or he goes, but don't be surprised. Yeah. He goes, because they just laid me off out of nowhere. So I was just like, all right, well, thanks for the heads up, bro. And, hopefully you find something. But I go to work that Monday, and I want to say like 2 hours into the shift, HR comes to me. And mind you, my desk was not that far from HR, like a couple 100 feet, right? And I could see HR through the window. So I'm looking like, man, I wonder what's going on. And all of a sudden, they gave me a phone call, and they're like, hey, can we see you in the office? I was like, yeah, let me just get one of the supervisors to cover my desk real quick. So I go to HR.
I'm feeling nauseous all over again.
Then they end up walking with me to our manager's office. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I'm over here thinking like, damn, something happened that I missed or one of the other employees missed, and I got to figure out what's going on. So we go over there, and he was a cool-ass dude. Shout out to that homie, Shannon, older cat. He goes, hey, man. He goes, I appreciate everything you've done with the company. He goes, so mind you, in that company, I started off like in the finance department, and I was over all the.
This was 11 years ago, and I'm still getting nauseous hearing the story because it was just so hard.
I remember I was just over all the girl drama in that office, so I was just like, I need to go somewhere where I'm not. I need like a different scenario out here.
You need testosterone?
Yeah, so I was having women get mad at me for talking to the women that they didn't like. I'm like, I don't even know you guys like that. Like
I'm just trying to work.
My own girlfriend didn't even get mad at me for this shit. What the fuck are you mad at me for?
I'm all excited trying to hear the Chiefs and like, what did they do today? Okay, anyways, continue.
So anyways, I end up going to the warehouse and I tell him, I was like, hey, you have any open positions out here? And mind you, I used to have to wear like slacks and a dress shirt and a tie every fucking day, right? Mm. So when a person like that walks into a warehouse where dudes are wearing jeans and boots and on forklifts, they start looking at you like you ain't shit, like just because you got a suit and this and that. Mm. So like I already knew that mentality because I used to work in other warehouses and shit. So I was like, you put me wherever you want, bro. I don't have a problem with it. He was like, really? I was like, yeah. So he ended up putting me in like a delivery area where all I had to do all fucking day was fucking break up all the boxes that they had to take apart. Like he put me down literally with the trash and I worked my way up. So he applauded me in that conversation. It was just like, I appreciate how you came and you just started like
working your
way up. He goes, but unfortunately, he wasn't happy about it and I could kind of tell like, oh shit. He was like, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. The crazy part is I could remember like it sucked because you were pregnant. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I wasn't pissed. I wasn't like, what am I going to do? Like I was just like, fuck. All right. I walk out and they're like, hey,
Could you finish your shift at least?
No, they're like, just come back tomorrow and bring all your shirts back, because we used to have to wear those polos with the name on it. So I was just like, all right, cool. I said, you know what? I'll do one better, bro. I took my fucking shirt off right there in the warehouse. I went to the truck, pulled out all, like 2-3 more shirts that I had from then. I was like, you don't have to worry about me. Send me my check. And it was that. And he was actually cool with me even after that. But yeah, it was that Monday. You guys were closing on that Friday. And I had like that whole week to be like, man, what the fuck's going on? Like, what are we going to do? But we knew financially, like in that moment, we had money to say that we had saved, that we'd be okay for a few months.
Yeah. And shout out to Grandpa Danny and Grandma Lena. May they rest in peace. They were our, my God, our saviors. My grandpa liked to bulk shop, so he would buy a bunch of diapers and bring them in the van.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that
a
lot.
So we say all this to let people know that, like, at the end of the day, it's never too late, right? I remember, and even now, I'll always tell you, Samantha, like, even if you want to do something, it's not too late to try it. You might be in the career that you're in now, but that doesn't mean you can't try to do something else, right? So my barber at the time was like, bro, you should, like, even before I got laid off, he was like, you need to go to barber school, get your fucking license and go work at a shop and this and that. So we had contemplated it, but at the same time, I was just like, well, fuck. Like, I need to take care of my family now. So DJing full time became like the thing for me to do, doing fucking weddings and fucking corporate events and all that shit. And then shout out to my boy Al, ended up turning a 3-day job into like a year and a half.
That was the biggest blessing we had.
Not to toot my own fucking shit, right? But I think that just goes to the work ethic that I was instilled with as a young kid.
Yeah.
Like, where they're like, fuck, we got to keep this guy around. And they did, until the point where they couldn't afford me. So it was just like, all right, well, you got to go. And then it was at that point where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to barber school.
Yep.
My barber told me where to go. My mom at the time said, oh, well, so-and-so in my office actually used to work at that district. Here's the information she says you need.
See, there's always something. And I had started a podcast a long time ago, but I never really posted it. And I remember talking about things like this, and it was called like metaphorical doors. You know, there's always a door. And I know as we grew up, parents would be like, you know, it was one door closes and another, and we're like, oh, shut the fuck up. But no, really, there are actual doors. Like, it's just, and everything is about timing. And I know we always say, you know, it's the universe's timing or it's God's timing. And we get like, no, I want it now.
Yeah.
But you really have to just, your life goes by so fast that you won't even notice. You won't even notice how long it's taking. And unless you're like really in the season where you're just like, fuck this.
And there's actually so much of life to live. You know, like, unfortunately, we've all had people in loved ones that have, you know, in our eyes left us too soon. But in actuality, you look at the lives that they lived, they lived a lot of life, right? So it's just like, I told you this the other day, like, you could have a job for 10 years. That doesn't mean you can't branch out and fucking find something to do for the next 10 years. As we speak today, 10 years seems like a lot of fucking time. But when you look at our lives, we're barely hitting that third of our lifespan, really, right? Yeah. Like, we still have a whole nother 2/3 of fucking life to fucking live, you know, God willing that we go that far, you know? Because I look at my grandma will hit 90 this year. I'm 35, 36. I still have, if I was to live as long as my grandma, I have almost 60 years left. And I'm going to fucking complain about something not going right for a couple years. It's going to fucking happen. Your life's going to end up.
Nothing's perfect.
No. But and you have to put that into perspective. We got to look at the long term. I think a lot of times we look too much at the short term of shit.
And I mean, I still do it. So don't think that I don't. I still do it.
It's human nature to do that shit. Yeah. But at the same time too, you have to look at the bigger picture. We have to stop making short-term decisions, because the short-term decisions are what's affecting our lifestyle that's telling us that we're not going to make it in the long term. Right. So it's just like, I need it now. So you're going to like, so remember when I used to have that job with Verizon, right? And it was like that first day, like I made a whole lot of money that I wouldn't have made in the warehouse. And I was just like, I'm going to them. Quit the warehouse job that was a consistent fucking paycheck because of what they were going to give me for like the day. And I was like, ended up not like, I got that one paycheck, and then all the other sales I made, I never got my fucking paychecks. And I ended up quitting, and then we ended up in that situation of like, it was an impulsive decision because we were in the thought process of needing the money now, as opposed to like, hey, if you would have just stuck around at the other job. But like you said earlier, things happen for a reason. If I wouldn't have left that job to go to this short term, I probably would have still been over there to this day, and probably not as happy as I am now. Like, and some people might look at me and be like, you don't look happy, bro. That's just my face, that's motherfuckers. Face.
We talked about this last week. Talked about it last week. He has resting bitch face.
But yeah, so it's just like, I make my own schedule now, right?
And that works out well for me, who needs structure, because I need a job that gives me hours. And like, which, so that works out great.
It goes back to that other rude comment / question people always say.
Oh, the one you couldn't figure out. Okay.
Yeah. So that goes back to like when people say, "Oh, must be nice." Like, what do you mean must be nice? Like, oh, you can make your own schedule now. You could do this. Must be nice. Like, it is nice. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. Like, I get to go into the shop when I want. If I not gonna work at the shop, then I get to pull up to Dodger Stadium. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who besides the people that work there, who else has?
Like, why are you so salty? Yeah, you could have done shit like that too.
But it's just like, you don't understand. Like you had mentioned earlier,
I say it to you sometimes because I want to go to Dodger Stadium.
You don't understand the struggle that came along with me getting here. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't sit there and do all these fucking weddings that I used to have to do. You know, you didn't drive all the way out to Coachella, or you didn't drive out to fucking Laughlin to do a wedding just to make sure that I got a couple $1,000s to make sure that we had food. So people don't realize the shit that people go through. So when you say must be nice, it's almost like you're just shitting on everything they have gone through to get to that point, you know?
Not that it's funny, but it kind of reminds me of the song by Britney Spears. I think it's called Lucky. It's like, she's so lucky, she's a star. but the rest of the lyrics is like, but she cries from a lonely heart.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't.
You guys know that song. Well, it's like about, okay, so like the video is like where she's rich and she's so lucky and she's like a movie star, but they don't realize that behind closed doors she's lonely and she's crying, which I feel was actually her telling us that she was unhappy. And we didn't listen until 2021, 2022, where we're like, free Britney. But anyways, continue. I felt like I had to throw in some comedic relief there because I felt like we were getting too deep.
I mean, how deep do you want to go?
Oh, deep, baby. Oh God.
Nah, that's just kind of like I wouldn't. I guess you would say the message that I would just like for people to know. Like, you know, like, again, not to get too deep in this shit, but it's just like, hey, you don't know what people go through, and just remember, like, even if you're going through something, it's never fucking too late to go do what you want to fucking do. You know, we did all this shit with children, so even the excuse of people, well, I have like,
it's like, so did we.
when I hear people say shit like that don't have any other responsibility other than themselves and the basic bills, right? It's like, yeah, you're not telling somebody anything over here that I can't like rebuttal. Like, yeah, your story seems hard, but I could tell you that as hard as it is, or someone that's had it harder and they've gotten through it. Don't give yourself an excuse. Don't enable yourself from fucking being able to do what you want to do. Like, it is okay to fucking go do what you want, you know?
Yeah. I feel you.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Want to film it later?
Oh God. No, I think I'm good.
Jeez.
But yeah, if you guys ever feel like you can't do something, you definitely can. It's never too late. Age is nothing but a number.
It isn't. And speaking of the ages, by the time you guys listen to this on Friday,
I'll be 17 again.
It's gonna be Miss Samantha Rochelle's birthday.
Woo, woo, woo.
So
35.
Happy birthday to you, you
Thank
sexy
you.
beast.
I am a sexy bitch. I don't want to be 35. Your son keeps telling me, "Oh, you're gonna be 35." I was like, "Can you not tell me how old I'm gonna be?" I literally cried when I turned 30.
I love that he emphasizes numbers because you are afraid of numbers.
I am.
Like, even when we're like, how long have you guys been
together?
No,
don't say it. It makes me feel like I can't breathe. The walls are closing in on me. I'm an independent woman. I don't need anybody. Hon, can you go change my tire? I think my tire pressure's low. Can you check it?
You want to go to Starbucks for me?
Do you want to go to Starbucks? And do you want to pay? But that's the end of this episode. I'm sorry that
we're a little more serious on this.
Yeah,
one.
It was too serious, if you ask me. But you're welcome for me throwing some comedic relief in there. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you want to add anything to this discussion, we have an email. It's thesalmonraypodcast@gmail.com. We also have our Instagram, The Salmon Ray Podcast.
And I believe if you actually listen on Anchor gives you an actual option to be able to put any type of feedback or audio questions into the app.
And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I am Samantha Duh. On Instagram. You'll find me in the followers for the Salmon Ray Podcast.
Don't be afraid, because I believe, I might be wrong, but her picture is just like her the thumb.
Yeah, I didn't want to put a picture of my face yet when I was making this Instagram. I didn't want to do a picture. I wasn't selfie ready, so I just put I think it is a picture of my thumb.
Or you just put the camera on your leg or something.
Like on the skin. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's either my elbow or a butt cheek, whichever.
Whoa.
So thank you for listening.
You,
I'm Sam.
And I'm Ray.
Have a nice day, night, whenever this reaches you.